Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Big sports. Big sports.
Banana bread at work, dude? Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I gotta get banana bread for us while we're here.
How about that banana bread?
Banana bread at podcasting, though? Hell yeah.
There is a Left Behind PC game series,
What? We need it.
starting with Left Behind Eternal Forces.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, and the cover of the PC game looks like a fucking religious pamphlet that you would see.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, hey, we're rolling, by the way.
Ugh.
Left
Oh,
behind
okay.
game. Oh my god, it does look terrible.
Cage fight. Oh yeah. Cage fight. Nicolas Cage.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Cage Fight Podcast.
Hey.
That's
That's my intro.
yeah, the guy saying that is Fat Albert.
Hey. And Fat Albert, because Bill Cosby is canceled, now voiced by Mike.
I'd watch it.
Well, yeah. Like always, I am your faithful host. Losing faith in Nicolas Cage, but my name is Nick.
Spoilers,
Laser.
by the way.
Oh,
Across the table from me is my good buddy Mike,
hey.
partner in crime, and to my right is our good friend Zach.
What up?
Now, last time
We
I
actually
called...
introduced ourselves for once.
Oh, yeah. Instead of right before we cut.
Yeah, fuck the guy behind the boards, though.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
The guy, the big man upstairs, who we believe in and thus will not disappear from this recording, Engineer
Muhammad.
Dave. Oh. But I was going to say last episode I called Zach our guest, and then I realized that he's arguably more useful than me. So I'm just going to start calling him Zach from now on.
But the guest gives me the option to leave,
I
which is always the
suppose.
case.
Which, yeah, that's the thing, though. We don't want you to have the option to leave. Don't
You-
forget, you're here forever.
Actually, you're the only one here who cannot leave this record.
Yeah.
We can go whenever the fuck we want.
Yeah, you stuck.
I got things to do.
Yeah, well, I hope sitting at
Yeah,
this
that-
table is one of them.
Yeah, and that thing is to talk about Nicolas Cage for the rest of time.
Heyo.
What's the deal what's anything big in the Nicolas Cage world this week?
Well, I saw, it wasn't this week, but recently he got a marriage annulled after 4 days.
Yeah, it wasn't his wife 14? Not literally, but she was pretty young, I think.
Yeah, she was a lot younger than he was, and apparently he listed that she pressured him into a marriage or something, so they tried to get the marriage license they got canceled and I don't know if that's what an annulment is normally. I haven't been married and had to get a marriage annulled, so
Last time I was married, I actually was pressured by Nicolas Cage. So I'm glad that the tables were turned in this situation.
yeah, pressured by Cage, but not to marry him, to marry someone else, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He was trying to get as far away from me as possible, and I put a ring on that shit.
Apparently, he was drunk and got married in Vegas.
Oh, and now he's leaving Las Vegas. And his wife.
She apparently had multiple DUIs.
Oh.
Didn't know
he likes a
that.
bad girl.
Apparently, just like his movies.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just like in Zandalee.
If I was married to Nicolas Cage, I would definitely be behind the wheel of a running vehicle, just with a fifth of vodka, chugging it, trying to run somebody down, just so I can be like, do you know who I am? I'm Nicolas Cage's wife. She's not in prison, is she?
I don't think so. But
Okay, point made.
I feel like if you're Cage's wife, you can get away with some things. I mean, he got away with buying a stolen Tyrannosaur skull. So,
Yes.
You definitely can get away with stealing the Declaration of Independence.
Spoilers for a future episode.
but anyways, I mentioned it already. One of the movies we're going to talk about is Zandalee. The other is Left Behind. And Left Behind, if you don't know, is based off a book series written by Timothy LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins.
Which is definitely a real name. Jerry B. Jenkins.
Well, Michael B. Jordan was taken. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Michael Jordan was taken. So
So
You related to the
Jerry.
third
Jerry
eye
B.
blind guy?
Jenkins.
Oh,
Is he-
what?
Stephen Jenkins, is he related to him?
Wait, is that you said he's from Third Eye Blind?
What, you don't know Stephen Jenkins?
It's actually kind of interesting because there was a scene in, I don't want to get too deep into it, but there's a scene in Left Behind where Third Eye Blind's jumper should have been played.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
All I'll say for now, Jerry B. Jenkins from Third Eye Blind wrote this movie / book. JBJ, Now we just got JJ. And
Yeah.
he's
Jonah Jameson. And he wants pictures of Spider-Man.
he wants pictures of Spider-Man and he's going to put them in Star Wars Episode 9.
But is J.J. Abrams directing episode 9 again? Or?
Yep.
Yeah, he's...
Oh, I didn't even know that. I don't keep up with things until well after they've happened.
Yeah, I think what
Hence,
happened was...
watching Nicolas Cage films now.
Exactly.
What happened was they said, Ryan Johnson, we didn't like what you did on The Last Jedi, so we're going to give you your own trilogy, and we're going to let JJ finish this one.
Aha.
So Ryan Johnson
I
is...
did hear that they were going for another Star Wars trilogy, but
Yeah, apparently he has some ideas for trilogy, and they got the Game of Thrones writers on there, which means the dialogue is going to be really cheesy.
there's going to
Um,
be some Luke Leia incest. And
Yeah,
that already
yeah.
happened.
Yeah, but this time it's going to be
True.
like deep penetration, which I'm looking forward to.
They shove Yoda out a window.
Hey, you know what? He shouldn't have been, peeping around. So,
Oh, that peeping Yoda.
yeah. And I do look forward to seeing Yoda in a wheelchair, watching his sister get assaulted from a faraway place. But enough with Game of Spoins. Game of Spoins. Game of Thrones.
Game of Stars.
Spoilers. Game of Stars.
Don't want the theme song?
I think we're done here.
That's all
yeah.
getting cut, right?
Yep, and this has been Cage Fight.
And this has been Zach. I'm Zach.
Hello, I'm Nick.
And I'm Jerry B. Jenkins.
Jerry B. Jenkins. Oh, that's what we were talking about. So yeah, Left Behind was based on some books.
One very important one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always mix up Left Behind
big
with
one.
the Bible. That's one
Yeah.
of those big religious ones that everybody's droning on about, and
They're
then
easy to get
everybody's making movies
confused.
about.
Yeah.
When are we going to get to the live action Bible movie?
The one is that the one with like Charlton Heston, and it's like 80 VHSs.
Yeah.
We've already been given that movie, thank you.
But have we had smell-o-vision with it?
That's true.
Yeah, I need to know what Jesus' sandal feet smelled like.
I need that in 4DX. I want to see Jesus getting
Just
nailed
go
on
to
the
that,
cross and then
never
water
mind.
being sprayed in my face. Sorry, Engineer Dave. I cut you off there because you're a lesser human being.
No, dude, I'm on the talkback. When I hit this button, you guys' volume dips down so low that I can't even hear you.
No, it's probably for the best.
It's a narcissistic microphone.
Speaking of narcissistic Mike, I'm your host.
Hey, this guy's got jokes.
Yeah, that was not one of them though. So yeah, Left Behind. The
Oh
film.
yeah, we'll go ahead and just jump right into that. Left Behind is a movie that came out in 2014 with a PG-13 rating, so bring your kids, but only if they've hit puberty.
Yeah.
Or been baptized?
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you haven't baptized your kids, then well, it's all gone.
If you haven't
Game's
baptized your
over.
kids, strap them down for this one because they might vanish into thin air.
Directed by Vic Armstrong, who
Vic Armstrong,
yeah,
solid guy.
I think he wrote that "Hello Dolly" song, right?
Yes.
Is he related to that guy in Green Day?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the Tour de France guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's
Um,
in Rancid, isn't he?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's done a lot of things. He sang for Green Day. He wrote "Hello Dolly." He won the Tour de France, and I believe he was the first person on the moon. But
Let me update my checklist here. So we got our Rancid reference out of the way. We got our Third Eye Blind reference out of the way. And we got a bonus Green Day reference. So yeah, Vic Armstrong. Actually, he was apparently a stuntman on like the original Indiana Jones series.
really,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I thought I was the facts guy, but here I am being blown away.
Yeah. Fuck y'all. I came locked and loaded. So he was a stuntman on the Indiana Jones movies. he directed something I don't know exactly what it is. It's a feature called Adventures of Young Indiana Jones.
I think I saw that on like TNT or something once.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's
I
pretty
saw like
good.
5 minutes of
Is it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I also was a huge Indiana Jones fan, so I'll just take anything.
Oh,
but
okay.
It was pretty good.
Was it better than Crystal Skull?
Oh yeah,
Not hard to do, but
Wait, what?
no, not hard
What's
at all.
Crystal Skull?
the one with Shia LaBeouf.
Wait, what?
The
They're
Oh,
opening for
it was an
National
alternate
Pleasure.
universe. They never actually made it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, okay. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
oh,
There's
and
only
also
like 3 Indiana Jones movies, I think. So.
yeah.
They wrote out this script and then they're like, "Wait a minute, this is trash," and they threw it away.
Oh yeah, and also Vic Armstrong directed something that if you haven't seen it, you should go and rent it. It's called A Sunday Horse. And I don't know what it is, but the poster's really bad, and it's called A Sunday Horse. And I am not making that up. So
Does this horse go to church?
No, he rode in on Sunday,
Ah.
stayed for 3 days, and then what was his horse's name?
Judas.
You got it.
The horse would only eat 30 pieces of silver.
Did he
per
did he
day.
take that horse to the Old Town Road?
Oh,
And did he
hell yeah.
ride till he can't no more?
I'm
and
gonna take my horse to. Awesome.
this is probably the best time to introduce our second guest, Billy Ray Cyrus. Hey, Billy, how's it going?
Going well.
Your hair looks really great.
I haven't cut it since 1992.
And it shows.
What's your daughter up to? We haven't heard from her in like a few years.
Killed her.
Nice. Does your wife still like smoke a shitload of weed, or is that?
Nah, I killed her.
Nope.
Oh
Hey.
wow. Who haven't you killed, Billy?
Have you
Country
killed?
music.
You're
Hey,
reviving it. With
you're reviving
Lil
it.
Nas X.
Yeah. Don't kill Lil Nas X, please.
Killed him.
No shit.
Damn it. Well, now you haven't quite killed country music, but you killed its future.
Yeah. Now you're gonna have to record a country
Literally,
album with like
Lil
designer.
Nas X is the future of,
Oh, yeah,
of country music.
He is the future of country. That is true. And
Can't wait
Billy
till we
Ray
get the Migos of country.
Don't kill my Nas.
Billy Ray Cyrus is the young thug of country, I think.
Don't kill
actually,
my
Young Thug is
Nas.
the young thug of country.
Yeah, I forgot about Young Thug's country album. But yeah,
Wait, did that really happen?
Beautiful
Kind of.
thugger girls. Let's go.
Oh, he did a song that was kind of country. I do remember that.
He says
actually.
yeehaw a lot, and it's really, really good. He's probably my favorite country artist. So Nick and Zach are doing kissy over here. I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to vamp while what?
Don't
Sorry, I went to
tell
the-
my heart, my achy breaky heart.
Thank you, Billy.
So
Well, then why
I'm
we
on the IMDb for Left Behind, and I just went under quotes to see what they had under there.
Uh-oh.
The second quote in is just brackets. Kicks the midget passenger down the escape slide. That's the
Oh,
whole quote.
wow.
It took a second for that to register with me.
That registered immediately for me because it involves my favorite character in the film, who is the most confrontational little person in the history of time.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody walks past him, he's like, "What the fuck are you looking at?"
Yeah.
and
You think the view's different from down here? I'll kick you in the balls.
Somebody offers to lift a bag for him, and he's like, way too proud about it. Hey, fuck off.
Oh yeah, just a buzz through real quick. This movie had a runtime of 110 minutes, a budget of $16 million, and a box office gross of $20.7 million. So a modest success. It's in the black. It's only the third movie we've seen so far that's been in the black. So
which is scary, to be honest.
yeah. Rotten Tomatoes, tomato meter 1%, audience score 38%. So the people really like this movie a lot more than the critics did. And since we are men of the people, I guess we have to side with them, but
And since we are men of God,
Which
love this
one?
movie. Oh, exactly.
yours or mine?
That's another great quote from the movie.
Yeah. From the confrontational little person.
Yes, who is also racist, it turns out.
Yeah.
And has a gambling addiction. So another fun fact about this one is that Nicolas Cage was paid $3 million to star in it, and he completed all of his work in 10 days. So I'm when I was watching this, I was wondering if like Nicolas Cage is some secret like Catholic church plant or something. Because I was confused why he would be in this movie, but I guess $3 million in 10 days, I would have done it too. So
Yeah.
And he doesn't really do a whole lot in this movie. He just kind
He
of
really doesn't.
sits there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he sits in one chair for the majority of his shots. So
Yeah, he is a pilot of an airplane, and really the only time he gets out of his chair is when everybody on the plane decides that they want to die. I think they like storm the cockpit.
Yeah, I didn't kind of understand that they're like, oh, we need answers for what's going on. Let's attack the pilot?
yeah,
we're
because he
panicking.
definitely knows why all these people randomly disappeared.
Oh yeah.
Mob the cockpit.
What do you do when you're panicking on an airplane that's in the air? You storm the cockpit and try to throttle the pilot. I don't know what.
Because he's not necessary to get
Oh.
where you're going.
Yeah, they literally they pull a bar to take off, press a button, and they just sit there
Anyone can do
the
it.
whole time.
That's
Pilot
why their job's
school's
going to be
a-
taken by machines, useless bastards.
Oh yeah,
Fuck
that's-
pilots.
fuck pilots.
Including TV pilots. Fuck those.
Oh yeah, just give me a full 10 seasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't shop it around. Also, I tried a flight simulator, and flying a plane is not that hard at all. I know we kind of covered that, but
Yeah.
it's literally
I flew a
A
plane
child
in,
could do it.
in Battlefield all the time.
Yeah.
On Xbox. I don't see why anyone else can't do it.
yeah. I've played the first Star Wars Battlefront 2, and so I can fly pretty much anything
Yeah.
into
Dude,
a
you
hangar.
fly an X-wing, then what can't you fly on Earth here?
Yeah, in this movie, Nicolas Cage is like, "Oh, I don't have a runway. I don't have a runway." You know what? Not even a problem.
Yeah.
No.
Just fucking land the plane.
Just respawn.
Yes. Just hit Y and jump out of the plane.
Another little fun fact, an Indiegogo was set up for a sequel to this movie with a goal of $500,000 to raise, significantly lower than the budget of this movie, and it failed to get up to $100,000 even. So,
And I donated all I could.
yeah.
But the fans shouldn't be paying for this movie. Either the church should or Hollywood should. The fans just deserve this movie. They
Mhm.
shouldn't be getting charged for it.
This is for the people of God to watch, so I don't know why the Pope isn't allocating special money to it. Every word that's in this, I believe, is in the Bible.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, who is this movie for?
I don't know. I don't think even hardcore evangelical Christians would enjoy this movie very much.
I mean, I feel like there's those God Isn't Dead movies, that are
Yeah.
about how much people who believe in evolution are the devil. And there's that new Unplanned movie, which is about how abortion is the devil. And so there's this weird like subsect of people that are like so religious that they just want like some kind of weird echo chambery type movie that just validates all their beliefs. Because like in this movie, you have one of the main characters who is a dissenter, and they really play it up when she's like, "If there is a God, then how come war and
How
bad
come
things?
earthquakes?
Yeah, how come? Oh, my favorite part of this movie possibly was when the investigative reporter who also doesn't believe in God,
Lucas Scott from One Tree Hill?
yeah, that guy.
No idea what that is, but I'll take your word for it.
He
Guess
tells
there's no One Tree Hill fans in this room, but okay.
hey, 1th till I die. But he tells a story about how like there was an earthquake and this family survived the odds by praying, so they didn't evacuate when they were told to because they thought they were safe, and then they got buried under 10 feet of slime. And
I do remember
Because that's how I
specifically him
describe
saying
mud.
slime.
right. And so these are the kinds of people who we're supposed to be against in this movie. As an audience, we're supposed to be for the believers who don't spend a lot of time on screen.
They don't
admittedly.
even make like very clear that these believers are good people or
No, they
anything. It's
just
just
believe.
like, are you Christian? Cool, you're going to heaven. Everyone else, suck it.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you Christian or a kid? If you're a kid, you're too
Yeah.
dumb to have figured out what life is about, so you get a pass.
Free pass. You're not smart enough to go to hell.
That pissed me off, actually. These fucking kids.
That's why I was wondering, like, what is the cutoff for that? Like, could you imagine being like, oh, you just turned 13, you can't get to heaven now.
Yep. It's all over
Oops.
for you.
If you've
Oh,
been
you
bar
have
mitzvahed-
pubes?
Ooh, single
No pubes
pube-
in heaven.
Oh wait, you had a wet dream. Hell.
But all those people are going to heaven naked.
That is true.
because all their clothes get left behind.
Okay, should we get into the?
That's the name of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Is,
That's what it's about.
The
The
clothes.
clothes and the backpacks that
This-
get left behind.
It really should have been called though. Heaven is a nudist colony.
Because apparently, we're led to believe that heaven consists of a bunch of naked children, which not really making the Catholic Church look any better.
Did Bryan Singer write this?
hey, Bryan Singer, get your sick fantasy out of my Bible movie. So this is another fact from the we steal from, what is it called, IMDb. We do a little bit of
Yeah, we do kind of thieve from the trivia section on IMDb, listener. You've now learned our secrets.
so
Cut that, please.
for anybody who's keeping track, this is the second time, we haven't watched this movie yet, but the second time Nicolas Cage saves a plane, first being Con Air. This is also the second time he is a father left behind while his son is saved, which is a movie that we have seen quite
True.
recently.
And the second one with biblical apocalypse, well, undertones in the first one. This one's just overt overtones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make it very clear, like, you have to be Christian. This is the end of the world.
Although they also make it kind of seem like, hey, what if we got rid of all the fucking religious nuts and we had Earth all to ourselves, heathens?
I think that was my biggest problem with this movie, is that it's not all the good people are taken to heaven. It's just the Christians. Because, like,
Ah, yes,
They make
that's
it-
true.
because it seems like the daughter is, like, a pretty good person.
Mm-hmm.
That investigative reporter seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
There's the Muslim guy on the plane who's good, like, is helpful throughout
he's
that
just
entire
helpful
movie.
to everyone, offering help. Like says we should all pray.
But
And
nope,
it's
they're
like,
not Christian.
Nope.
Straight to hell.
Yeah,
He's,
Well, I would argue that the suggestion there is that they didn't. The person that wrote the motherfucker didn't read the fucking New Testament.
I mean, who has the time? The Old Testament's so long, so
yeah, exactly. Once you get through that, you want to take a break.
And I don't like reading reboots. and-
Yeah.
yeah, I'd rather read
Usually the
Left
first
Behind.
couple of albums are the best ones.
Yeah. The one that really tripped me up, the lady that got left behind, was the senile old lady that, like, she just seemed like, you know,
Old?
yeah, and she didn't know what was going on. And why is that desert? Well, she must have done something in life. Maybe she cheated on her husband, and that's why he went to heaven and she didn't. But
We don't want
But-
heaven to smell weird, is basically the gist that I got.
I kept waiting for the time when it shows, like, oh, all these people who are still here have done, like, a horrible deed, and, like, that's what's preventing them.
uh-huh.
But no.
Nothing.
Yeah, they didn't really spend a lot of time explaining why these people were left behind, other than the fact they just weren't believers. They
Well,
were not pure enough in faith.
we're already getting into this. I think we might as well start the plot summary here a little bit, and we
Yeah.
can talk about the things along the way. So it opens up. There's a lady getting off a plane, and she's calling her mom and finds out that her dad won't be home when she gets there because he's going to work. That dad is the Cage Man, and he's a pilot who's going to the very airport that this lady has just landed at because this lady, who's named Chloe Steele, is here to visit him on his birthday.
And how could you not believe in God when these two people just happen to be in the same airport?
Yeah.
You know?
Coincidence?
God's plan.
Exactly. Also, the name Chloe Steele and her dad's name is Ray. Yeah, Ray Steele. They sound like
I had no
porn
idea his name
stars.
was Ray.
it sounds like a porn star name.
It really does.
But yeah.
Well, it's the uncle of Arlo.
Oh, that's true.
Really?
Arlo Steele,
I didn't even know that.
National Pleasure frontman.
Lead singer, songwriter.
And so Chloe, she's a college student who hates God.
Yeah. There's a lady preaching at the airport, and she goes right up to her and is like, oh, yeah? Well, if God is real, then how come bad things happen to good people? And then, you know, that classic argument. It's the only one that atheists ever come up with, according to the writers of this movie. But
But they don't even answer it.
no, they don't. They're just like, yeah, but God.
Yeah,
believe.
dummy. And the introduction we have to this woman is that she's looking at religious texts in the airport gift shop.
Mm-mm.
This is also how we're introduced to the, I guess, love interest / the reporter guy that we talked about before,
Yeah.
Buck Williams.
Yeah, Cameron Buck Williams.
Yeah, he's an investigative reporter. He's doing a story in the airport. which is when this Bible lady confronts him, starts to yell at him, and then Chloe is like, "Hey, if God was real, maybe he would have made you a little bit calmer or something." You know,
Yeah.
basically. But if you're so mad at me, you should be happy that you won't see me because I'll be in hell. Apparently soon.
Well, then we see Cage pulling up to the airport, and he's taking off his wedding ring and leaving it in the car.
Mhm.
He's about to go on a flight to London, and he walks up while Chloe and Buck are getting their flirt on a little bit, and Chloe sees her dad and starts talking to him. Says that she thinks we see that she thinks her dad and mom are going to split up because her mom apparently in the last year became a very religious person, and she says to her dad, like, I wouldn't blame you for running off, like, whatever, but is mad at him that she doesn't get to see him on his birthday, which is the whole reason that she flew there.
Yeah, because I mean, being in a marriage is a lot like being in the band Korn. If you find religion, it causes a lot of traction, and then you end up kind of splitting up.
Yeah.
And eventually you find Skrillex and you make a dubstep album.
Exactly. And that's unfortunately in the Left Behind sequel we never got.
Yeah,
but,
I was really
um,
looking forward to the dubstep album. Well, Cage is flirting with this flight attendant lady, telling really bad jokes. And,
they're going up the escalator, giving each other fuck me eyes.
mhm.
And Chloe's like, "Hey, that's not my mom."
And I gotta say, I mean, I'm looking at this flight attendant, and I think she can do better.
Yeah, she is like young and conventionally attractive, and he's Nicolas Cage in 2014, old and weird.
He's probably well off. I actually don't know how much pilots make, but I'm assuming it's decent.
Yeah,
In this
hopefully.
universe, they make a lot. Did you see the house?
Oh yeah, true. They
Yeah.
had a really nice house.
Yeah. The other weird thing is, maybe it's not weird. It just seemed off to me that this young woman is named Hattie.
Yeah, what kind of name was that?
they're like, "Hey, you know what? Let's do our best to make her seem like an 80-year-old woman because she's clearly not." And her name, for some reason, is Hattie, which was really distracting me. What the fuck?
Maybe
And-
that's why Cage was so. She's so into Cage because she's an old soul.
Maybe
Yeah.
she is an 80-year-old woman, but just looks really good.
Yeah,
That's true. Maybe
don't
well,
know.
actually, I was gonna say maybe she believes in God so hard that he has saved her skin, but she does not disappear in the.
Am I the only one
in the
catching the
snap.
Hades thing?
Oh,
Whoa. Okay, so maybe she is the devil. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's devilishly attractive.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and I would like to apologize to anybody listening who is named Hattie, because I didn't mean to call your name ridiculous, but let's be real.
I don't think any listener is named Hattie.
I don't think anybody named Hattie can hear anything at this point.
Yeah.
So-
So Chloe and Buck are sitting there talking about national disasters. Like these clowns in the White House.
Oh,
Oh, tropical.
this movie should have been made 2 years later because there's a disaster that needs explaining right here.
Well, they're talking about natural disasters and how they've basically shaken their belief in any sort of God or Christianity.
Yeah, they're real edgy.
That's great first date conversation. It's
Yeah.
always what I go right to.
Yeah, whenever I meet somebody who I plan to flirt with, I kind of break the ice by being like, "Hey, isn't God a fucking fuckhead?"
Yeah.
Tornadoes are crazy.
Ugh.
Families died.
Yeah, dude. Like,
People-
if there was a God, how come Katrina happened? And a
Want to
little
go
girl...
back to my place?
So before Cage shows up and interrupts their little flirt fest, when she tells him that she is about to be on a date with her dad, you can see the hope drain out of his eyes. She's like, I should tell you, I'm waiting for someone. And so he's like, "Oh, damn." And she's like, "It's my dad." And he's like, "Wow, weird person to fuck." But I am
I don't
leaving
know. It's
now.
in vogue. It's all over Pornhub these days.
Yeah, that's true.
What are you doing, big bro?
Hey, I caught you stealing cash out of mom's purse. I'm gonna teach you a lesson. And that's honestly, this
You're
movie
gonna
is
have to
kind of
suck the lesson out of this.
I'm just gonna say that there's a total scene set up at the mall, like when the kid wants the $300 drone.
Oh what?
Never mind.
Oh okay.
Dave's getting horned up there again.
Yeah, I got a boner.
But this movie is kind of shot like a cross between a Lifetime movie and a cheap porno. So
Yeah. Oh, the way it's lit up, it looks like it's like a soap opera or like a USA sitcom or something.
And the way that all the dialogue is delivered is very like overly dramatic.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make
Kinda
it feel
wooden.
less like a soap opera.
So apparently, one of the baggage cart driver men like pulls up and sees Chloe and says, "Hey, I got these U2 tickets for your dad. There's 2 of them in whatchamacallit,
Took
London
me 2
tomorrow."
weeks to get them.
Yeah, it took me 2 weeks to get these tickets here. Get them to your dad.
And he just keeps going on like, get him to your dad who knew that he was going to be flying to London on his birthday and was going to avoid meeting his daughter. Do you know his daughter? Just like she's learning way too much about her dad's potential affair.
Oh, yeah.
So turns out Nicolas Cage is a baller who's taking his mistress to London to go see Bono.
Oh, yeah.
Before he edges his way to her.
Before he edges her way into her Larry Mullen Jr.
Side note, do you think U2 got left behind?
Ooh, good question. I don't know.
Yeah, they had Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
It says Sunday in it and stuff happens. Sabbath?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, early morning.
So the concert still goes on.
Yeah, early morning, April 4, shot rings out in the Memphis sky, et cetera, et cetera.
Chloe goes home to her mom and younger brother, and she immediately starts fighting with her mom about religion. And she said, "I didn't come here to have deep conversations," even though she's the one who brings it up right away. So,
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, they are just kind of sitting there talking, like, "Hey, how's it been?" or whatever. And then she accidentally brings up like the crazy lady. Oh wait, you're kind of that crazy lady too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then the mom's just
so
like
lazy. It's so lazy and convenient.
and like that mom though, like won't just be like, "Okay, I understand. Let's move on." It's just like, "No, let's talk about your eternal soul."
This
and
is very important to me that you know about Jesus. I think she says that like
yeah,
literally.
something like that. And like this daughter's obviously like in her 20 somethings, like she
Yeah.
can find her own religion, whatever. You don't need to hammer over the head like, "Hey, listen,
It's
find
Jesus.
Jesus."
Yeah, she's in college.
Please
The only
help me
religion.
find Jesus. I lost him. I don't know where he is.
He
I was at the
disappeared
mall
right
and
in
he
front
just
of me.
ran away from me.
I have his robe right here. He just disappeared and this fell to the ground.
But
Uh,
if you strike him down, he becomes more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
You don't want to fuck with Jesus. And I don't plan to after seeing this.
Jesus Juan Kenobi.
Yeah, and while this confrontation is going down, we see the little brother like watching from the next room, like, oh shit. He's watching it like it is a fight between God and the devil, and he wants to see who's gonna win. He's like, you know what? The God one makes sense. My sister's kind of a B word.
She won't buy me a drone.
Yeah.
I bet if she was Christian, she'd buy him a
See,
drone.
I'm not even going to do it. I still have a boner.
So yeah, then we cut back to the airplane and we see a dwarf man who is very angry at everyone, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
He gets some info from a young passenger whose dad plays for the Jets, that her dad is injured, and he decides he's going to use that info to place a bet for $3,000.
Yeah, and just in case you didn't pick up that he was a gambler from him like jotting down this information, we get the guy sitting next to him on the plane forcing his way into the conversation, who says like, "Oh, a betting man, huh? You gonna give the little girl a cut?"
Convenient.
Yeah. So this actor you might remember from Scrubs. That's where I knew him
That's
from.
where I knew him from.
I knew I saw him somewhere. That must have been it. Okay.
Yeah, he was like one of the janitors, and he like punched people in the nuts or something.
Yeah.
But, he was just as confrontational. Seems like a common character choice for this fellow. But then we see the little girl's mom is pop sensation Jordan Sparks.
Throughout this whole movie, I was like, "Who is this lady?" Like, I recognize her. And it wasn't until like way after when I was looking through who was in this movie, I was like, "Ah, that's who she is."
Yeah, she does one of those songs.
That's what happened to her career. It got left behind.
Oh
Oh, damn.
So yeah, Jordan Sparks is on the plane. She's the wife of one of the Jets.
I think that does that make her Benny?
You got it.
Topical.
You got it.
Elton John references.
It's topical because the Elton John movie is coming out soon. I think. I don't. Rocket Man now in theaters.
So Chloe takes her brother to the mall, and we get a very annoying scene of breakdancers.
Yeah, what was with that?
I don't know.
And they're all
It
like
goes up-
clapping like in a weird way.
The worst part of it to me was that the claps were completely out of time with the music. It was actually hilarious because like it was just like, I don't know, the claps were like a third as fast as the music, so it was just completely out of sync. They
wanted to make it believable. If there was a bunch of people like in a mall, let's be real, it would sound like shit.
Yeah, I've never seen that happen at a mall. I worked at a mall for 3.5 years.
No flash mobs?
No breakdancing flash mobs,
Wow.
unfortunately. Maybe that was before my time when I started working at the mall, because that was more like a 2010 thing, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
you missed the good stuff.
Yeah. Then finally, what we've all been waiting for, the rapture happens.
Dun dun dun.
And Chloe is hugging her little brother, and all of a sudden he's just gone. Everybody everywhere is disappearing, and they leave their clothes behind. So,
And people immediately start looting.
yep,
They immediately
They're-
start looting, robbing each other.
yeah. There is no time wasted. Like their clothes fall, and a guy's like, "Hey, I bet there's a wallet in there." Just walks over.
And then like a minute goes by and you see like people taking like a TV out of this wall. It's like
Just
not
immediate
everyone
chaos.
just disappeared.
Yeah. I don't really understand that. I feel like my first reaction in that situation would be like, "Whoa, what the fuck just happened?" Not time to loot things.
I feel like if you weren't like a parent or with someone who got raptured, like you wouldn't notice for a while. But like if you're just walking
Yeah.
along and there's just like clothes on the ground, you're just like, okay, that's weird. Because like I feel this movie's implying that society only works because Christians are there.
Yeah, and once they disappear, all hell breaks loose,
And,
quite literally.
Despite how true that statement is,
We're not saying we disagree with that.
yeah, I just don't agree with the portrayal here.
Yeah. I just personally,
I wanted more smiting in my Christian movies.
I mean,
true.
it's hard for me to say what I would do in that situation because I would be one of the ones who evaporated into heaven.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, and which is why I always dress like a piece of shit because I don't want to leave my good clothes behind. So
Yeah, you take your Sunday best with you up to heaven.
yeah,
Well, unless Bryan Singer wrote Heaven, but
hey,
You're too old for heaven.
yeah.
Too Old for
so,
Heaven is a good idea for like a concept album, but we'll get to that.
While the rapture is happening, Cage is already getting his flirt on with the flight attendant outside of the cockpit, like pouring a drink with her or something.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the plane starts plummeting, and Cage runs in, sees his co-pilot's gone, and his clothes are there, and he saves it. Yeah.
All
The
the kids disappear from the plane.
Oh yeah, and passengers start freaking out. They mob the door, demanding to see the captain because he made all those people disappear. Clearly,
I don't know how many times I've been on a plane and the pilot just like vanishes a bunch of people.
Yeah, I hate that. And instead of like telling you over the intercom, like, "Hey, we're hitting some turbulence. I'm gonna vanish some people here," he didn't say anything, so they have to rush the cockpit.
Yeah.
And I gotta give it to the confrontational little person character. He waits at least a few minutes before he starts pointing fingers at the Muslim guy. He doesn't do it right away, but he eventually starts searching through this man's bag because he might find like an evaporating ray or something. One of those.
Would you even know what that looks like if for some reason he made this thing that just evaporates people?
It's one of those things where you'll know it when you see it.
We get a lot of bad cuts back and forth between the plane and Chloe on the ground, and I say bad cuts because really the only part of this movie that matters is what's going on the plane. There are like 2 important scenes with Chloe on the ground, and most of the time when they're cutting to her, she's just walking around and nothing is happening.
Yeah, like I felt like they kept going to her, like showing that like she's walking through the city and just shit's going down. Like at one point, like she walks by a bank or a jewelry store and this like guy gets shot out the window.
Yeah,
And a guy pulls a gun on her and then just walks away.
Yeah, they use it as a fake out moment to make you think the Muslim is going to shoot the dwarf.
And then they do a quick cut to Chloe on the ground and a guy's getting shot out a window.
Yeah.
I
They're like,
totally didn't
"Oh,
jump."
you're an Islamophobe," but also Muslims aren't going to heaven anyway. So
Hey, this movie's racist, but you're even more racist for thinking that you were about to see that go down.
Yeah.
And the thing that confused me most about every time it showed Chloe on the ground was she seemed to be holding on to hope that her brother had just left and gone somewhere.
Yeah.
Like she goes back to the car thinking that he apparently just stripped naked in the mall and ran back to the car.
Well, I'm a little brother, so I don't know how many times I just stripped naked and ran home.
Hey, you're
Yeah, dude, I got a boner.
real troublemaker. So that's why we have Zach on the pod.
Oh yeah, at one point she goes to the hospital and breaks in, I guess.
Oh,
because they don't let people into the hospital?
No, not anymore. Not when everyone's left behind. The Christians are the ones who do the admissions.
And she immediately goes to the maternity ward?
Yeah.
Like, why would her brother be there?
Maybe he reverted to childhood or to babyhood.
Yeah, the reason he disappeared out of his clothes is because he was shrunken back into a baby.
It was a Benjamin Button thing.
Yeah, and for some reason teleported back to a hospital.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, continue.
No, that's. I was just gonna say none of the babies are there in the maternity ward.
Yeah.
And she walks by a school bus and there's no children in there. All the clothes are gone. They're making it really clear that all the children were taken away.
Yeah, because they're pure.
Children not sin?
See, I was under the impression that you're born with original sin, and do you get rid of that by being baptized?
Yeah, the baptism gets rid of original sin, and then you're like clean slate.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So is this movie just like a plug for baptism then, more so than it is Christianity? Because I mean, there's a lot of like evidence that like they're not really following the word of the Lord so much as just like focusing on trivialities, like whether or not you've been dunked in water. I'm just saying. That's
a major part for all the children. I think they're implying that be a Christian, get baptized, you'll go to heaven if nothing goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But then like all the adults then made it to adulthood without sinning.
Yeah. Or I don't know if they made it to adulthood without sinning or they had to be true believers or something. I don't know.
Well, I feel like you'd have to be a believer.
There's a Santa Claus movie with the exact same premise.
Yes, the unwavering belief in Santa.
That's why all the children got raptured. They all believe in Santa.
Exactly. Yeah, so Nicolas Cage says there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. And so we have ascended.
It just seems so weird to me that like children get a free pass.
Yeah. I think
not that I'm like, oh, those damn kids go to hell.
Well,
like,
they get to go. I feel like the delimiter is that anybody who has not masturbated gets to go to heaven.
That could be it.
Because Cameron's cameraman goes to heaven. It's very clear that he is anti-masturbation. He says it a bunch of times, like, I will not jack off on this plane. And so he goes to heaven.
He's having a real hard time suppressing it. Yeah.
Hey,
I saw a Hobson video with the same premise for this movie.
Oh yeah, Hobson is pretty
Hobson, like My Ill Mind 5 or whatever, is probably a better argument for Christianity than this.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to see Hobson go up against that creationist museum guy. What does Bill Nye know?
Did the guy who invented heaven go to heaven?
That's a good question.
Did he?
I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, also at one point, Cameron, I just wanted to make a quick note of this. Cameron noticed that somebody who was left behind must have been an air marshal and they had a gun on the plane. And then he goes around, starts filming. Then he looks back again and the gun's not in the holster anymore. We cut to the cockpit. There's another plane with no pilots and it's about to collide with Cage's flight. The plane like clips the wing of Cage's flight and cuts open the back.
Yeah,
and
severing the fuel line.
Yeah. Which I think if there's a midair collision like that, that would probably send the plane into a spin.
Don't worry about it.
Cause a lot worse.
That's that science garbage that you follow.
Oh yeah.
This is a religious film.
That would happen if God wasn't distracted getting all these people into heaven.
Yeah.
But he wasn't there to orchestrate any of what was happening on Earth.
I guess he had a big new influx up there and he had to like take account of his guests and stuff like that.
Imagine the amount of paperwork that you would have to do to get the entire world into heaven. at the same time. It's got to be nuts up there.
Yeah, St. Peter's got to be like just ripping his hair out like with frustration. Like, no, what are you doing here? You were supposed to go to hell. I've got it written right down here. Like it says hell, third circle. Like,
hey, at least he gets holiday pay for the rapture.
Yeah.
But is it like the post office? Is it closed on Rapture Day?
That's true. They might have to wait a day. Imagine being in the waiting room of heaven for like a whole day. Just because.
Can we form a single line, please?
You better have all your papers and forms filled out before you reach St. Peter.
I need your proof of baptism and your state issued ID. Okay?
Please pull out your Christianity card.
We getting into heaven is not like voting. We're trying to, suppress the minorities, so you have to have like an ID to get in.
Well, if all those non-Christians multiple votes wouldn't have counted, then Satan would have won.
No, yeah,
that's true. That's true.
We're really lucky that God put in that Muslim travel ban. Oh God. Okay.
No collusion. So
the plane is rapidly leaking fuel, and the fuel ignites, and there's a big giant ball of fire blasting out the bottom. And Cage says,
"Are you fucking serious, dude? I walked out of the room at this point."
Yeah.
Yeah, you missed Cage saying, "Goodness gracious, great ball of fire."
Just to be clear, I only made it through about 15 to 20 minutes of this movie, and then I cashed out. It wasn't happening.
You saw the rapture happen, and then you were like, "Oh, this is a rapture movie," and then left.
I got some guac, got some chips, and went on upstairs. I was done with that.
Well, Dave's already read Revelations, so
he already knew how to end it. But in all honesty, that was like the only thing you really need to see for this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after that...
Oh, rapture happened. That's what it would have looked like.
No, I saw the dudes on the bikes ride by and take her bag afterwards, and then a short bus fall off a bridge, and I was just like, I can't fucking believe this shit.
Yeah, she was just like walking under a bridge, and these scooter guys show up out of nowhere.
Yo, yeah.
Straight up.
She keeps getting almost hit by unmanned vehicles.
Yeah, like in the mall, like immediately an unmanned vehicle is just plowing through the wall, like going forward. And I'm like, if the driver just disappeared, wouldn't the car just kind of roll to a stop?
Man, well, if God's so good, then why did that happen?
Look, there's a passenger. Why didn't the passenger just be like, oh, you're gone? Let me control this speeding vehicle.
Yeah, or just put it in park or pull the parking brake or something.
This is why I pray to God every time I get in the passenger seat of a car.
Jesus, take the wheel.
You don't want to be the last one left in the car when the rapture happens. Believe me.
Yeah, Cage finds out they might not have enough fuel to get back to JFK Airport, which they turned around as soon as the whole rapture happened. And they're descending rapidly because they're, I forget the word for it, the rotors that allow you to...
The spoiler.
Spoiler warning. But
spoiler warning, they're destroyed.
Yeah.
Oh, and we didn't mention this, but he's the plane he's flying is a Mitsubishi. It's super tricked out.
This is Fast and the Furious 11.
It has like pink neon lights under it.
Ludacris is there.
It's got spinners too, I think.
Oh yeah.
So Cage looks over at his. Cage tells the flight attendant that he's been flirting with, Hattie, to go look for the missing flight attendant's things and bring them back over, because he's got an idea. And he looks at his co-pilot and he finds a rosary in his clothes and a watch that has John 3:16 engraved into it. So dude was a sports fan, was just going around, I guess, hanging that at... Well, I honestly don't know what that passage is. I just associate it with like baseball games.
I think it's just like go team.
It's a Stone Cold Steve Austin thing. Hey, I figured this out the other day. Like I'd been wondering about it. I've been seeing it on T-shirts since about like 1997, and I don't know why I'm talking here. I really don't know the answer to this.
I prefer a Rakishi Bible verse.
John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
What does it have to do with touchdowns?
I have no idea.
But yeah, so she returns with the flight attendant's things, and they put together that she's a Christian because they find a Bible study thing and other stuff, and Cage is just like,
that's not a coincidence.
Definitely the Christian rapture. That's exactly what happened. It's the only explanation. And then
they don't waste any time figuring that out.
And she's like, why are you all religious? And he's like, well, my wife. And she's like, your wife? Ah! And she gets all upset. And so, yeah, apparently he never told her that he was married, but
Yeah, he never told her that she was a mistress. He just said, "Hey, let's go see you two if they haven't vanished."
yeah.
But
And then we hear, we go back and Chloe hears a voicemail of her dad's plane accident on her mom's phone, which I don't know how that got there. I don't remember Cage calling his mom.
he repeatedly tries
her
to
mom.
call her, but I thought the call didn't go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently the Rapture also takes down satellites.
Yeah.
I guess.
It gives bad reception.
The satellites go to heaven. They were
Yeah.
good satellites.
Well, I mean, in order to run a cell phone company of any kind, you have to be a believer. And so when those people are gone,
Wait, a believer or a believer?
Both.
well, what's the
Oh.
difference? Because God gave us the gift that is Canadian singer-songwriter Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber? Oh
So-
man, if he was Justin Bieber, then his fans would be believers.
Oh.
Uh,
and they would
we'll cut that.
they would build houses out of
I
wood.
can't believe you.
Oh, come on, Dave. Cheap shot. And that's why.
Sorry, I haven't been paying attention. I've been jerking off this whole time.
And we are holding auditions for a new engineer. If you are in the area, please apply.
So
What? Sorry, I was jerking off.
Don't worry about it.
I guess I should have mentioned at this point that the wife of the Jets player, her daughter had disappeared, and she's been freaking out about it ever since then. So at this point, she's accusing everybody on the plane of kidnapping her daughter.
Yes.
And she...
In a very elaborate plan.
Yeah. She demands that they turn the plane around back to where her daughter disappeared so she can find her, which that makes a whole lot of sense.
Very tricky to kidnap a child on a plane.
Over the ocean.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could kind of like take your carry-on, shove the kid in there, and then like stow it away up above. But
yeah,
I
and
don't
you'd
know.
only be able to find her if you return to the point where she was kidnapped. So
right.
That's
Seems
how it works on
complicated.
planes.
Yeah. So Jordan Sparks doesn't believe in God, but she does believe that they flew through a portal of some kind that they have to go back through to find her daughter.
They gotta go back to the island.
they gotta go back to the island. At this point, Evangeline Lilly busts into the airplane. Dominic Monaghan is wiping heroin off of his teeth and nose, and other references. So yeah, Jordan Sparks is accusing people of kidnapping her kid.
and she pulls out the gun.
She pulls out the gun. And see, up until this point, because the filmmakers and you as an extension of the filmmakers are racist, and you believe that the Muslim guy has the gun.
Oh, I thought we were supposed to assume the midget had the gun.
Well, we don't say that word here. So let's bleep that hard. We call them Little Johns.
What?
Oh. There we go. So the Little John doesn't have the gun,
Okay.
and neither does the Muslim guy. So
It was Jordan Sparks all along.
it was Jordan Sparks, and she's waving the gun around like, I want to be a judge at American Idol, or I don't know what I can't.
Sounds about right.
I can't really. I don't know enough about her to go any deeper than that.
But yeah, she's like, give me my daughter. You guys obviously all orchestrated this plan. You knocked me out, took my kid, took off a bunch of clothes.
Yeah, of a bunch of other people too.
She
To
holds.
throw me off, but I knew.
She pins down the little person and tries to like peel out away a mask that isn't there because she thinks that they put her child in disguise and that's how they kidnapped her. But it turns out that's what he actually looks like.
Yeah.
The investigative journalist is like, hey, point the gun at me. We didn't do that.
Yeah. Just stop. And then she's like, and then threatens to shoot herself. And then they're like, no, just don't. And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, then that scene ends.
Yeah. And then, we cut down to Chloe again. And I wish she would step back from that ledge, my friend.
She is on a bridge, and she's not just like on the edge of a bridge. She like climbed all the way up it like Spider-Man style.
Yeah. Yeah, she's on the very top of the bridge somehow. Which,
I
I mean, I don't think that extra bit of height was going to make it any less deadly to jump off of it. But
Yeah, you'll crack your spine either way. Don't worry, Chloe.
I thought at this point she was going to like give like kind of a monologue to be like, oh God, like if you're there, like, why did you do this? And like, kind of like shout the frustrations that all these like people on the edge of belief would have.
Yeah.
But
Get
no.
some like character development or
Nope.
something.
She's just gonna stand there and then get a call.
Yeah, that she gets a phone call from Cameron Buck and her dad, who have satellite phones. So they give her a call and say that they need to land the plane, and JFK Airport is full. So she just runs off in a not well explained thing. I wasn't sure what was going on, but then she calls them as saying she found an abandoned highway for the plane to land on, and she starts pushing all the construction obstacles off of it with a truck.
She starts clearing a runway.
Yeah.
But she's like clearing the like big orange barrels and everything, like the light plasticky stuff.
Yeah.
Would that affect a plane?
No, I think if your truck can push it, it's not going to stop the plane. Like, the plane will be fine.
You can lift it. A plane can push it.
Like the only thing she really needed to move was that like shit, what's the name of that equipment? Big rolly thing in the front.
Steamroller?
Steamroller, yes.
Yeah, the Cleveland.
And she couldn't move that. But yeah, so she gives them the GPS coordinates from her phone, then pours a bunch of gas and lights it on fire to light it up so they can see where the runway is. Cage and Cameron spot the explosion from the gas, and we get a very bad CGI plane crash landing as it skids across the runway here.
My favorite part of this sequence is they cut to the plane, and Cameron is talking to Nicolas Cage, and they're basically like the point of the conversation is, did she do a good enough job clearing off the runway? And Nicolas Cage is like, no, she fucking sucks, but we'll make it work.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great little detail. They're like, wow, she did a pretty shitty job, but you know what? We'll pull this one out anyway.
I like too that at one point he's like, where are you? She's like, oh, like I'm at this highway, like this is the address. He's like, oh, open your compass app and give me the latitude and longitude. Like, do people just have that on their phone?
My compass app does not give me latitude and longitude.
We learned from knowing that some people just plug in coordinates, and that's how they get places. That's how I got here.
Yeah, apparently Nicolas Cage.
Apparently
Nicolas Cage is just all for coordinates.
That's the only language he knows. Like, hey, what are your exact coordinates? And he like looks down from the window of the plane, and there's like a giant sign all the way up in the sky that says like exit 47. It's like, here it is. This is our exit.
I gotta merge.
All very convenient.
But yeah, they evacuate the plane. Chloe runs up and hugs Cameron and her dad. Cage apologizes to Hattie, and she's just like, all right. And they look out, and the New York skyline is on fire because, you know, when a bunch of people disappear, just the whole skyline just lights up. That's
the only thing preventing this home from going up in flames that we're in currently is our Christian energy.
And Cameron looks up at the skyline and says, it looks like the end of the world. And Chloe says, no, it's just the beginning.
Dun,
Credits.
Dun. And then a weird song plays, like a weird song choice.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say all of the music in this sounds like really bad public domain 90s like Christian rock things. I don't know. It sounds like they didn't hire a composer. They just found music that they could use for free and just slapped it into the movie.
Yeah, which is most Christian rock.
Why didn't they have Jordan Sparks do something?
Right.
Yeah, if she's in the
She
movie.
was
They couldn't
there.
afford it.
She was busy filming the movie, I guess.
She had like 4 lines. And like half of the scene she was in, she was like asleep.
Yeah.
The whole movie seemed like it was done on favors. Like, it was like everything was acceptable, but like just acceptable. Like, you know, it had like TV lighting and the music seemed fake and like the dialogue was... I'm not even...
Yeah, and Nicolas Cage was like, all right, I'll do this, but you have 10 days of my time. Any more than that, and I'm going to be fucking out of here.
I can pretend to be a bad Christian for 10 days.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to pretend.
And just the very obvious setting up of a potential sequel here, which thankfully I think didn't happen.
Yeah.
What did we say at the top? There's a series.
Yeah, there's
or something?
apparently a TV series that came out. I don't know if it's like directly sequeling it or just like using the same source material.
Yeah, it might just be based on the books. I don't know. When we started recording this podcast was the first that I'd heard of it, but
yeah, and I believe this movie apparently mostly just covers the first book.
yeah, it's all the first book.
So
I did read in this TV show there is a Antichrist character. And
Ooh.
it sounds way more interesting than this movie.
That's a clear villain in this movie would have made it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, there was no villain. I guess the villain was
not believing in
And you're
God.
apparently not supposed to root for these people because they're bad Christians.
yeah.
Yeah, so as soon as everybody disappears, we want everyone else to die. But they
I
don't.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want the non-raptured people to do? Like, become better and they will get raptured? Or is it just like, sucks to suck?
Yeah, and
Deuces.
what does she mean by this is like a new beginning? Like, hey, you know what? Your wife / my mother's gone, but you know what? We can do this.
We got this.
What is the plan going forward? Like she's there's no closure. She seems like
I'm
kind
going
of
to tell God you didn't get raptured, little sis.
come over here.
I'll have to teach you a lesson. But yeah, I was gonna say the movie kind of has the dialogue is kind of wooden. It felt like it had a bad script. The acting wasn't. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I felt like they didn't have a whole lot to work with most of the time. I feel like the lines they had to deliver felt unnatural. So no matter what they did, it wasn't gonna feel all that natural.
Yeah, nothing felt right in this movie. It felt like everything was kind of done in like a take.
Mm-hmm. I thought that the editing kind of killed any sense of pacing, personally, because they kept cutting back to Chloe on the ground, who didn't really have anything. Her story is basically all about the fact that she helps clear the runway so that the plane can land. But basically, the movie is about the plane. So it's basically the movie Airplane, but not funny and
Yeah,
Not
Christian.
good.
Yeah.
Actually, there is one redeeming scene on the plane before everybody disappears, where the Muslim guy's like, we got to get these motherfucking kids off this motherfucking plane. And then they
he was played
disappear.
by Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
Really. I was going to say, if you're going to watch a Rapture movie, just watch This Is the End instead. It's a better one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you know what? Watch 5-star feature film Knowing. 2009's Knowing. Because at least you see some fucking aliens in that one. Not really anything going on in this one. I was hoping like at the end when she was about to jump off the bridge, like the sky would open up.
There's
We
like
just-
a demon.
Yeah. You just hear a voice like, "Hey, Chloe. Hey, you missed your chance with God there. Why don't you come with me? Sylvester Stallone played the devil."
I was going to say it was Stallone. If Stallone played the devil, that would have been great.
Hey, Chloe. If you kill yourself now, we'll never be able to do a sequel. At least let's crowdfund first. Then kill yourself. We don't meet our goal.
But yeah, I think that's kind of our thoughts about Left Behind. We'll take a short break and we'll get back to you with Zandalee. Have fun in the 15 seconds before you hear us again. Bye.
Ben Tennyson
Tennyson
versus Ben Tennyson.
Aku and Grim till I die.
Oh,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
that game is so good.
Grim was pretty
Grim was
OP.
real good.
I love Samurai Jack.
Oh yeah, Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack was a good one. Well, I liked Ben Tennyson versus Ben Tennyson versus
Vilgax.
I never watched Ben 10, but I'm pretty sure it's
What was
about
that
like
called?
people
Was it-
discussing being 10 years old.
Yep.
Like they've been 10.
It was like Cartoon Network.
Have you guys
Punch Time
been
Smash.
10 before?
Oh, you know what? I have.
Me as a 11-year-old.
Back when I was 12, I was 10.
Back in my day, we were 10 for a full 4 years.
Back in my day, you were 10 for 30 years and you worked on a farm.
We went from 10 to 40.
Bitch, you're rolling.
Oh.
Hello and welcome back. We are here now to talk to you about Zandalee, the other movie in our matchup here. It's a movie starring Nicolas Cage.
This is the movie where I think I figured out a pattern in his movies.
Ah.
If there are boobs in it, it is bad.
Which is strange because that's usually the opposite case for any other movie.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
if you see a titty, you're not going to enjoy this film.
Yeah, and there was full breasts and vagina in the first 3 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, it was like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Yeah, I think I had a note in here about like 40 minutes into the movie. I was like, I think we've seen as much nudity as we have seen clothing.
Yeah, it's really just the breasts everywhere.
The funniest part of this is the lady who's naked for most of the movie works in a clothes store.
And the other thing is,
but I guess when you work all day there, you don't want to bring your work home.
Yeah, don't bring your work home.
For as much nudity as they show in this movie, they're really shy about showing any wieners. There's no wieners in this film. There's a scene where the titular character and her husband were both naked, and her husband's walking around naked. You never can see his crotch.
You see his butt.
You see his butt, but there's like a split scene where he walks over and he's wearing like a pasty over his crotch because you can show a vagina, but anything hanging down,
no,
not appropriate.
Never the phallus.
Free the nipple, and free the
dick.
Free the dick. FTD.
So this movie is rated R, as you may have gathered. Apparently, they had to fight to get an R rating. It was going to be rated NC-17, but they did some cuts so that it could be released wide. Because if you don't know, a lot of movie theaters won't show NC-17 movies, or basically, it's a death sentence to get that rating for your movie. No one goes to see it because there's not many places to see it, and it doesn't get a very wide release.
Yeah, it's called the Paul Rubens clause. Because if there's too much nudity in your movie, everybody's going to be jacking off in the theater. So there's enough sticky floors at theaters as is.
Yeah.
So NC-17.
People are tired of having Pee Wee Herman in the theaters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and Fred Willard.
I got a boner.
We're just going to do a quick list of celebrities who have been arrested masturbating in public places. You got your Fred Willard, you got your Paul Rubens, you got your probably Penn and Teller. They seem
they seem like they might have jacked it in a theater or two.
Yeah.
Or I bet Teller did.
Teller's a little
and then Penn distracted him while he was talking, and then like, Teller's just
look, I'm 800 feet tall. Don't look at that guy jacking off over there. And that was their first magic trick.
Yeah.
Their first ever magic trick was distracting.
Penn's amazing distractibility.
Yeah. And Alakazam, you're sexually assaulted.
And instead of like a puff of smoke, he just like blast. You know what? Let's cut that out too.
So Zandalee.
Came 1991 or 90?
Yep, 91. Came out in 91, directed by Sam Pillsbury, who I believe also, as a side hobby, likes to get poked in the belly and laugh.
Yeah, he did. There's a lot of subtle like tee-hees in this movie. But of course,
if you turn it up really loud, you can hear him in the background.
Sam Pillsbury, director of Free Willy 3 and the unforgettable movie that started it all, 15 and Pregnant, which apparently is a movie before it came a reality show.
Oh, well, that's I think the reality show is 16 and Pregnant.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, but in Hollywood, it's a little bit sexier if they're a little younger.
Yeah.
Hey, what did Bryan Singer?
I thought Bryan Singer directed that movie. I thought it was a documentary about his life. Well, except boys don't get pregnant, but
yeah, not anymore. Thanks to Bryan Singer.
Runtime of 104 minutes. And I could not find any information about the budget or box office gross for this movie anywhere online.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Apparently, this movie was filmed under the title "Adios, Terry," which is not a joke. I couldn't say it without laughing.
Yeah.
But one of the characters is named Terry, and adios to him.
Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter got 33%, 29% audience score. So this is one of the few times where the audience liked it less, albeit by 4%. So meh.
Yeah. So this is just proof that critics are stupid. So in the cast we have Erica Anderson as the titular character Zandalee. She
very titular.
yeah,
I think
see
you
what
see
you did there.
there's more shots with her boobies than there aren't.
yeah, half the time she's just laying there.
I don't think she ever wears a bra in the whole movie.
No, a lot of
It was
nipples
the
from
time.
her.
Yeah, this is another one that I stopped watching after 15 minutes, but I did not catch a bra for the entirety of those 15 minutes.
Yeah, if you stopped watching this movie after 15 minutes, you still would have seen 300 nipples.
I did.
So Erica Anderson, she was in Nightmare on Elm Street 5, which
We all remember. We don't have to say the plot for that movie.
I can almost guarantee she showed her nipples in that too. She was also in Twin Peaks, and no, I'm not referring to those titties. We got Judge Reinhold as
the
Terry.
Honorable Judge Reinhold.
The Honorable Judge Reinhold as Terry, who you might remember from Beverly Hills Cop. Also starred with Nicolas Cage in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I did see that, yes.
So they have already slept with each other's spouses before in another movie, probably.
This is their second case of cross-fidelity. Well, no, marital infidelity. We'll cut that.
Yeah, I don't know what that movie's about, but I'm willing to bet that they definitely did some partner swapping because it was the 80s and were crazy kids. Judge Reinhold, I know personally as the close talker from Seinfeld, who's with me. No?
I know him as the Honorable Judge Reinhold from Clerks.
Oh yeah, that's where that's from.
And they reference Zandalee in Clerks.
Oh, I don't remember that. Maybe I'd catch it now if I rewatched
Randall says, like, I've seen all your movies, including Zandalee and some other bad movie he was in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's not spoil anything. This movie was either good or bad.
Could be both.
Could be neither.
It's most likely bad, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based off the track record thus far.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been good under the original title, Adios, Terry. Because when you see that up on the marquee, you're like, hey, give me two. And there's only one of me.
That puts butts in seats.
Exactly. And you know what? Lots of butts in this movie. Not in seats, though. Right in your face.
So, yeah. Going on to a plot summary. Our first shot is some immediate nudity.
Yep, dancing around completely naked.
While Terry, Judge Reinhold, is shaving and talking to himself in the mirror, and I couldn't understand half of what he was saying.
He's practicing like a meeting speech, where it's like forms and papers and other business stuff. It's very generic business talk.
Hello, fellow businessman. Would you like to conduct business?
That's the vibe I get from him, because we get the backstory that when he first started dating Zandalee, he was a poet, but then his dad died, and he had to take over the family business
and made bank, apparently.
Yeah, he's like the vice president.
Yeah, he's the vice president, and I think it was like a radio network. It sounded like there was like a single mention of it. And that was
his dad started with a single radio or something. Yeah, but no idea. Couldn't tell you what they do.
Yeah.
After that, we get a cut to my favorite character, Steve Buscemi, the garbage man.
Oh yeah.
Who I don't really understand his role in this movie.
He's the garbage man.
It's very confusing because he just kind of pops up randomly throughout the movie,
and you're just like, is that Steve Buscemi?
Oh yeah, he's in this movie, and they try to convince you that he's relevant in some way, but I don't really know.
Yeah, but he's just the garbage man.
Yeah.
The first shot he's in could have been out of the movie completely. It wouldn't have changed a goddamn thing. It's just him picking up garbage and talking to a guy, and then
he could have been out of this movie.
And then we see him stealing a TV and running from the police or something.
Yeah, and then Nicolas Cage is like, well, if you don't want to get caught, you shouldn't steal. And then he rapes her.
The scene with the
trigger warning. There's some rapey scenes in this movie.
Yeah, just very uncomfortable all around. But I just wanted to quickly insert that when Steve Buscemi does steal the TV, I think all of us collectively said, "What is this? Left Behind?" 2014.
Oh!
So Okay, so Judge Reinhold plays Terry, who every time I looked away from the screen and saw him out of my periph, I for some reason thought he was David Spade. I never realized it, but he kind of almost looks like David Spade.
I could see it if he shaved.
Yeah.
I also need to interject here. We keep saying Terry, but they pronounce it as like Tyree or something.
Like
There's an
Teary
H in it.
or
And it's
something.
not spelled like Terry.
Yeah, it's a Thie. I call him. I'm calling him Terry because
I'm gonna call him Theory.
Tyree Irving.
By the way, this takes
Tyree.
place in Louisiana,
Yes,
and they all have thick Well, no, he has a thick accent, and that's
Yeah,
it.
he's got a New Orleans accent, and then occasionally some other people try to throw one on, and it's for instance, Steve Buscemi's New Orleans accent is terrible.
I didn't realize he was even doing a voice.
yeah. He's like, I'm Steve Buscemi, but from New Orleans this time.
His last scene where he gets the most dialogue, I was just like, man, this accent is not working. You should have just dropped it. Not everyone in the South has an accent. We could have gotten
You know
away
that
with it.
I don't think that's true.
Huh.
I've been to the South, and they all sounded like Steve Buscemi doing a fake New Orleans accent. Not to generalize, but that's just a fact. So Zandalee and Thyre
Yeah,
are
Kyrie Irving.
they're-
We find out they went to college together, I think.
yeah, I think something like that. I don't.
Or they met after. I don't know. They met at some point in their
Yeah.
past, and then they
Cage.
got married.
Yeah, they met.
Cage is a
somehow.
painter, an artist. Terry was a poet. Currently, Cage was a rambunctious artist, and he never attended his classes. And he says some things like, money is just an excuse for a lack of art anyways.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
Very pretentious art person lines.
Yeah, at one point, yeah, he says that in response to Terry asking him about like, what about like getting paid? And he's like, money's for fucking narcs, bro.
What am I, a nerd?
It goes against art. But and it's weird that he could even become an artist after he skipped class because to be a good artist you have to go to all the classes, which is why he's obviously a piece of shit failure. So Zandalee and Terry, Thyre, are in a struggling relationship.
Yeah.
Um,
Zandalee seems to be annoyed that Terry isn't as fun as he used to be because he's focused on his business now.
This movie bugged me watching it because, like, Terry, I'm saying Terry because his name's ridiculous.
Terry?
Hattie,
Like, this guy marries this woman, gets a good job, and like is making a living for her, and she's upset that he's not a poet anymore. Like, come on, lady.
Yeah, I feel like really the whole point of this movie was to emasculate anybody watching. Like, hey, if you can't get a boner, then your significant other is gonna fuck Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
But it wasn't even that. Like,
That's true.
They were mid-sex, and then she was like, I want to try crazy shit. He's like, I just got home from work.
He's
Yeah.
like crazier than missionary. What are you?
We're not even trying to procreate right now.
What would
This
that
is
even be?
way out of my depth.
Yeah, the whole first couple scenes of this movie felt like they weren't very connected to the previous scene, and it was just like a montage of a relationship on the rocks and Nicolas Cage being around. Although, hold on, I don't think we mentioned
Oh, no.
Cage's introduction
The best Nicolas Cage introduction
Boy.
we've had.
at a bachelor party where everyone is wearing fezzes for some reason.
Don't worry about it.
We got our
except for anybody who has breasts.
Yeah.
They're just wearing nothing.
yeah.
Whipped cream. Actually.
Yeah, they're wearing whipped cream.
Cage shows up and we just see a silhouette of the Cage Man, and then all of a sudden we see him whip his hair to the side and show
Which
trot right on in.
He's rocking a mullet, by the way, during this movie.
his
Oh, yeah.
hair is the real star of this movie.
For
Mhm.
sure.
Without question. He does a decent job, I would say, in this movie, but his hair is really the forefront of everything that happens.
Oh yeah, I was staring at it for the majority of the first 30 minutes. I couldn't get over it.
Yeah. I would say 30 minutes if this movie was 30 minutes. But if it was longer than that, then I would say the whole duration I was distracted by his hair. And so yeah, there's a bachelor party. Everybody's shooting whipped cream on nipples and sucking it off.
Except Nick Cage.
Oh yeah,
because he goes down on this girl and
right at the party,
yeah,
going crazy. And I guess Terry and Nick Cage's character, who I think is named Johnny or Jonathan.
Johnny Callens.
Johnny Callens Cage.
They
Johnny Cage.
Nicholas
apparently
Johnny Callens Cage.
That's his full name in the film.
Nicholas Johnny Callens Cage Cadillac Williams.
They run into each other at the bachelor party and apparently hadn't seen each other in a very long time. But now Terry's interested in seeing Cage again. Like, I want to hang out more, man, or something.
Yeah, I can tell you're good at sex. I need your influence because I can't do it anymore.
That was jumping back a little bit. We got all these scenes of Zandalee and Terry not having very good sex anymore, and she's all frustrated, and he's all like, "Oh, I'm frustrated too with work. Fuck that shit."
I'm frustrated with how much you want to bang.
I wouldn't even say it was like disappointing sex or something that they were doing. It was like he's already asleep in bed. She comes home in the middle of the night drunk, and like he wakes up and she's like wants to do anal or something.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like she's like bending over, like, come on, and he's like, and then
he starts, and then she's like, let's try something adventurous, or I forgot the word, and then he's like, okay, I'm done. Like,
yeah. Moral of the story: if you have worked hard all day and you don't want to have sex in the middle of the night, you're not a real man. So let that be clear.
I thought it was weird too in that scene how like he stops and like goes over to the chair and like he's trying to like talk to her and be like I don't know what's going on, like this is crazy, or paraphrasing, and she just starts like masturbating and he's like, come on.
She's crying while masturbating, while this is the part where he like walks by and they refuse to show his penis and you can kind of see a glimpse of something covering it. She's like tears running down her face, masturbating. Obviously they know my turn-ons. And Judge Reinhold is like, do you have to freaking flick it right now? At least wait till I am asleep. Oh, fuck Johnny.
Yeah, so then Zandalee's out running. She runs by Steve Buscemi running with a TV, yelling about how he's stealing a TV. And then
a bunch of cops get him.
And he just gives up. He's like, all right, you got me. He just puts the TV down and lets them take. Very strange sequence.
And Cage like sees her running by and like pulls her in and grabs her and he's like, hey, look at me. I'm all weird and artsy. And then
ooh, I have this hair.
And then after that, we see Terry's having Cage make a painting of him, a little portrait to hang in his office or something. And he's getting the painting, commenting on it. Then he walks into the other room and Cage just mouth rapes Zandalee.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, he just walks up to her and kisses her, and she's like pushing him away while he's kissing her. It's, I mean, this shit wouldn't fly in 2019.
Nor should it have flown then, but it was a different time, apparently. So we get the introduction to Terry's grandmother also.
Was that his I couldn't tell the relationship.
I had no idea who. I thought it was Zandalee's mom, maybe. I didn't fucking know.
I don't know. But yeah.
Just the old lady that's there for some reason.
Old lady that's there, and she's like, hey, who's your friend? Could he like fuck your wife?
Zandalee's like out in the rain and gets her umbrella stolen or something. I couldn't tell what was going on.
I think she gives it away.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know, but the guy's got a blue umbrella and he's wearing like all blue and it's the same color blue. So maybe he's like, hey, wouldn't that be good for me? And she's just like, you're right, it makes the fit, and just gives it to him. And
she's like, you're a Crip, so here's your blue umbrella.
All Crips get blue umbrellas.
If you ever see a Crip and you have a blue umbrella, you have to give it to him. I didn't mean to slur there, but
yeah. And then Cage finds her and like pulls her off to the side, and he says stuff like, "We're inevitable," and she's like, "No, get away from me." And Cage is getting kind of rapey, but I guess Zandalee is entranced by it.
Is this the point where he's like, I like when you don't wear anything underneath, and she just takes off her
Yeah,
pants.
she just starts dropping her underwear right there in the rain while they're making out outside, and then
cut to his loft apartment.
Like, what a panty dropper.
Literally.
Yeah, and then
so we cut to them fucking super hard.
oh yeah, Cage is grunting like a madman.
To be clear, they're also doing missionary. He's just doing it way harder and better, and his ass is more,
toned.
Yeah, he just. I don't know if they had a
Cage is dummy thick.
He really is. Either that or they had a
Colonel,
a body double that they threw a mullet wig on, and they had him Tommy Wiseau this woman.
Then we get a weird little artsy scene where Cage is like finger painting her body, and it's really just an excuse for the director to get close-up shots of the actress's breasts.
Yeah, as if we haven't seen enough of that already.
Yeah.
Fun fact, apparently he was supposed to paint her with red paint, but they changed it to blue and yellow paint because apparently that indicates intimacy in some way.
Oh yeah,
it's more.
I thought the red would be like fiery passion, and the blue would be more.
Maybe the red would be too confusing for like blood or something.
Yeah, it's like he's like rubbing her period blood all over her body, which I guess that would be pretty romantic.
That is pretty intimate.
Yeah, because
intimate.
Your lesser men are grossed out by that kind of thing, and so if they really wanted to,
Nicolas Cage,
not Nicolas Cage, Terry. There's 1 week per month he's not laying it down, but you know what? Johnny, he'll throw it down whenever, wherever. He could have worked a 30-hour shift. You wake him up in the middle of the night and spread your cheeks, and he's right there.
He's all up in it.
And that's what we're led to believe.
Then Cage is in a bar doing card tricks to someone, so that brings
to a
our
priest.
Priest.
We need a tally on the Cage magic trick.
That is our
meter.
Third instance of Cage doing magic tricks. Also in Next and in Deadfall with his card trick. That isn't really a trick. He just has jokers and guesses.
It's a trick to the person.
True.
Yeah, he's a magic man.
Well, that's where you get the quote, why is it that the Baptists have all the women and no booze, and the Catholics have all the booze and no women?
Mm.
And then the priest is like, wait till 2014, there's a movie that you should see. And for some reason, the bartender is played by singer-songwriter Aaron Neville, who is easily distinguished by the giant mole on his head, which has a third eyebrow. It's and not to shame anybody's appearance, but he does look like a freak who should die.
Oh yeah,
just kidding. Let's we don't have to cut that out, but can we insert me saying that he's deaf?
So Terry walks into the bar and finds him there and says, Nicolas Cage, you've got to come to dinner. Well, Johnny, I'm sorry, but I don't think in any of these I've ever referred to Cage by his actual character's name. He's just Nicolas Cage in all these movies. He invites him to dinner. Cage comes with a girlfriend that he's got there, but is flirting with Zandalee the whole time.
Oh yeah, he's trying to like run his hand up her leg, but she's stabbing him with a fork because. So this was a little confusing for me. She's married.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
but he isn't allowed to have a girlfriend or bring her to dinner at least.
How dare he bring his girlfriend to her house with her husband?
Yeah. How are you supposed to fuck me on a dryer with everybody in the next room?
Yeah, that was like. So they're just like, oh, we're gonna go wash up for a second. Let's go fuck on this dryer.
They're supposed to be like preparing dessert or something, and he's like, "Hey, what if I put my dick in your mouth when your husband is in the next room?" And then all of a sudden they're in like the laundry room, and they're banging up on the dryer, and she turns on the dryer,
and it keeps like flashing to Terry, just like his face, just like sitting there.
He's like staring off, like he knows that they're fucking somehow.
Yeah.
Like he hears the dryer go off, and he's like, "Wait,
our laundry's done."
She never turns on the dryer unless she's getting banged, and they've been gone for a while.
So then in the next scene, Terry criticizes Zandalee's hair for some reason, and she gets all mad about it and goes off jogging, and Cage finds her again.
This was terrifying. She's literally just jogging down the street, and he jumps at her out of an alley and pulls her into it.
Yeah.
Like, What a tactic. Holy fucking shit.
That's the way to make an introduction.
I would be utterly terrified if somebody just
I don't know. I don't really care who it is. I'm like, it's going down now, buddy.
Yeah, you're just if you don't know you're just assuming you're being assaulted, which she basically was, but she just happened to know the assaulter in this case.
Yeah,
I think that's when like she's like saying like, "Oh, we can't do this" or something, and Nicolas Cage is like, "But does this feel good?" and just like grabs her by the pussy.
Yeah, he's like, "Is this poetry?"
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and then he
and
pulls
he
a trump on her.
They're having sex, and he keeps asking her to say his name, and then she says Terry, and then he's like all mad about it.
He's like, "Hey, that's your husband's name."
I'm not your husband.
And she's like, "I can't do this. I can't be what you want me to be." And he's like, "You can if you just loosen up." And then he pours olive oil into cocaine and rubs it onto her body.
And
are you like, fucking serious?
There's cocaine on a table.
He makes it very clear that he like puts a pile of cocaine on his hand and then olive oil on his hand and then his hand goes in her.
Yeah, he even mixes it on the table like it's like some herbs that he's gonna dip a piece of bread in or something.
Yeah.
I just love that's prefaced with Zandalee saying like, "I won't do drugs," and he's like, "I didn't ask."
And then he just shoves a bunch of cocaine up her pussy, which is fine.
And then it's never brought up again.
Yeah.
Nope.
So we have him dragging her into an alley without her knowledge. We have him drugging her without her permission. And so
Kissing her without her permission.
yeah,
But
basically normal relationship stuff. And then he gets mad that he's cheating on him with her husband. So, yeah. You cheating on me with your husband? Did you fuck your husband?
Then we get another scene where Zandalee ends up going to Cage's apartment and waiting there for him to show up because they're supposed to bang on his lunch break. And then he gets called into Terry's office and Terry's like, "You got a mistress, don't you?" And then he's like,
"I'm not married."
Yeah.
This is when Terry is just like, "You fucking my wife?"
Yeah, they keep like winking at each other.
And Nicolas Cage is like, "I'm not fucking your wife.
I'm fucking somebody, and her name rhymes with Pandalee, but it's not Zandalee."
So yeah, while Zandalee's waiting in Cage's apartment, she hears some voicemails being left to him from another woman. She gets really mad and just trashes his apartment a little, like throws paint all over his bed and smashes something and leaves. Then she's waiting in a church, and Cage comes up and says to her, like, "It's not my fault, like, I got held up at work." And then she's just like, "How did you know I'm here?" And he's like, "I know everything about you," which is really fucking creepy.
It's really fucking creepy, and
then he's like, "You should divorce your husband."
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, you know what'd be rad? If we didn't have to fuck on a dryer while both of our families were in the next room." And so we get like our first mini Cage freak out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he kind of...
Because after he's like, "You should divorce your husband," she's like, "Don't talk about that here."
She's like, do you see where we are? And then also says to him, like, "That would kill Terry. I can't do that to him." And then he's basically pushes her into a confession booth, and it seemed like rape. I don't know.
Oh, it totally was. Like, she was...
she did not seem down, and he just went for it anyway, and it was really fucking gross.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, Cage just looks up and says, "Thank you, Father."
And so that happens.
Yeah, she runs away, and then he comes after her and says, like, "I set you free," and then she pushes him away and runs off, and then she ends up going and talking to Terry after getting advice from old lady who may be her grandmother, maybe Terry's
grandmother.
Old lady who lives there and is getting catfished by her old internet boyfriend. It's a very weird dynamic.
But that old lady basically says, like, "You should just talk to your husband if you're unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk to him. Don't fuck his best friend."
Yeah, but then there's also I might have misheard how this conversation started, but there's a scene where the older woman is talking to Terry, and she says like she had an affair or something, and she didn't regret any of it.
She like beats around the bush by saying like, "Oh, this guy was always around." but always like kept his distance.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Where it made it sound like they had feelings for each other, but maybe didn't cheat.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell for sure.
But the way she said like that she didn't regret anything, I got the feeling that she was like, hey, if your wife is banging somebody, good for her. And he was like, damn.
I thought you had my back on this, Nana.
So she goes home and talks to Terry and suggests that they go away together for a while and start clean. And then Terry's in
It sounds like she wants to break it off with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And kind of rekindle her marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Terry's in a bar and Cage shows up and Terry tells her that Zandalee and him are going to the same old spot that he used to frequent sometime.
Yeah, the old spot.
The old fishing hole.
Which is in a bayou somewhere.
And then Cage tells him, "You're lost. This isn't about Zandalee, it's about you. You're lost." And Terry says, "Lost and found, my friend." He seems all happy and he's just drinking lots. And then
And then Aaron Neville's like, "Oh, good job, buddy. I'm here too."
I don't know much. I know you did a good job.
Your wife got fucked by a mullet.
Then we get a little montage of Zandalee and Terry having a good time together.
Yeah, things are, like old times.
She's topless again.
She's topless again. He's not like half hard anymore. He's like full boner.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like during their sex scene, she's just like, "See, all our parts fit."
See, look.
Which kind of sounds like super, like something really childish to say to someone. Like,
Yeah, like
"You're
look,
doing
it goes
it."
inside.
Look, you're finally in my asshole.
Yeah. Well, then Terry stops in a shoreside bar real quick, gets off the boat to buy some beer, and who is there but the Cage himself?
Drinking in a corner.
The Cage man cometh.
And he's talking
And-
about like, you need blood to catch catfish.
Yeah. He does that. He does like a little Tim Allen, like.
And Cage and Terry go outside. He brings Cage over. Terry brings Cage over to Zandalee, and they end up doing a dance on the dock.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage and Terry, not
Yeah.
Zandalee.
Because Zandalee was gonna dance with one of them, or like Terry and
Terry like starts the music and is like, "Zandalee, you want to dance with me?" And she's like, no." And he's like, "Nicolas Cage, you want to dance with me?"
Yeah, he's like, show her how it's done. And so they start like
Line
slow dancing or something on the dock.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out, I felt like this was actually an interesting scene. I felt like they were going for something here. One, Terry is wearing all white, and Cage is wearing all black. That tells you something.
And
Two,
like the competingness of it.
they're kind of like competing, and in the dance, they seem to be trading off who's leading.
Yeah, and they don't break eye contact the entire dance.
no.
They're staring each other dead in the eyes. Like, you fuck my wife, you fuck my wife. And
fuck my wife.
It felt
We fuck.
Cage is giving Zandalee the you want to fuck, we fuck now.
it felt like two animals battling over a mate, but instead of like butting heads, they were dancing for some reason.
Oh, I do want to take it back a little. There was one line in the scene before they like go on their getaway where Zandalee's gonna tell Terry like, "Hey, I'm cheating on you with like your best friend."
Oh yeah,
And Terry says like he doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah, I
and
don't
he's-
want to know.
But I think the line that stuck with me was "I'm not your confessor. I can't give you absolution."
Oh yeah.
I was just like, "Oh, that's a good line."
Shit, it's are you a poet again?
Yeah.
Damn, he finally blew his load and all the creativity started coming back.
For a pretty good line. Yeah, I just when I heard that I was just like, "Wow, I'm stealing that for something."
I'm still you save that for when your wife cheats on you.
Oh God, I hope I don't need that.
And you want to win her back.
So yeah, they all hop on a speedboat together, and
Oh, you're skipping one important
Ooh.
part.
oh yeah,
So their dance ends, and then Terry pulls out a gun,
Yeah, and I mean,
points it at Zandalee, and he has like a wild smile on his face. Points it at Nicolas Cage, and then points it at himself.
he was
And then they're
already
on a boat.
acting like drunk and deranged, and then he just pulls this gun out. I was expecting him to like murder Nicolas Cage right there on the dock. But
yeah.
They do what you do after a good slow dance. You get in a speedboat.
Yep. Nicolas Cage takes over driving the speedboat from Terry and just guns it, and then Zandalee tells him to slow down, but
Terry's
tells
just
him
like
to
shooting the
speed
gun
up.
off.
Yeah, he's just shooting it behind him, and he falls overboard. And then they stop the boat, and Cage says to Zandalee, and he's like, "We have something to settle here." And then Zandalee's just like, "Nope," and jumps right overboard to go save Terry.
She says something like Terry something, but I don't know. It's so hard to understand a lot of these characters.
Yeah, I can't understand a lot of the lines in this movie. I think something's up with the audio editing. I think it was a low budget movie, but we don't know because the budget's not online anyway.
And unfortunately, I wasn't watching this with subtitles. I should have, because I'm pretty sure she said something along the lines of like Terry scary or something like that. And,
Scary Terry.
So she
fucking my wife, bitch.
She jumps off. Nicolas Cage jumps off.
Yeah. And he saves her and pulls her off to the side where she's not drowning, and then tries to save Terry, who bites him in the neck.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how they were like in so much danger of dying.
Yeah.
Like they fell off a boat. They can all swim. Like,
Hey, they're in New Orleans. There might be crocodiles around there.
But they made it clear, like
alligators.
he was just in water. Like,
yeah. There's even a line where they say, "How do you drown if you can swim?"
Yeah.
Which,
but like, why was she drowning then? And
I don't know.
I
what is
like
with this water that makes it so no one can swim in it?
you can still drown if you can swim. I'm pretty sure it doesn't make you invincible. Just hope they know that. And yeah, so Terry is like resisting.
Yeah, being saved. When he fell into the water, he decided, I'm not leaving this water.
I choose death.
Hey, you know what? When Nicolas Cage fucks your wife, that's pretty much it.
So,
Nicolas Cage, please don't fuck my wife.
Yeah, don't do it, Cage.
Nicolas Cage, Zach's address is...
please cut that.
So, cut to Zandalee standing over Terry's grave, and Steve Buscemi asks her if she has any money.
Because he's still in this movie.
Yeah, they're just like at the cemetery, and this garbage man walks up.
And she says to the garbage man, "I killed my husband."
Yeah.
Like you do.
Like, just casual
says,
conversation.
I killed my husband. And he's like, oh, well, that sucks, Don.
Is this his grave? And she's like, yep.
Yeah, it's just like, well, they said he drowned, but how can you drown when you can swim? And then Steve Buscemi's like, well, I don't know, but that's the end of my pointless scene, so I'm out of here.
Doesn't he say something along the lines of like, if you ever wish for something once, it could happen? Or
I didn't catch what he said.
I don't remember
it doesn't really matter.
anything that he contributed to this movie. I'm pretty sure when he left the frame in this scene, he was holding a cane in the air and waving.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't even like hired. He just showed up one day and was just like, I'm going to be in this movie.
He just happened to be stealing a TV while they were shooting.
Those are real cops.
So we cut to Cage. He's going crazy in his studio, like throwing paint at his paintings, cutting them with a knife, and then just coats himself in paint and starts slapping the ground and screaming, "We fucked up!"
Hi, fucking yeah!
Which is another scene in that Nicolas Cage losing his shit video that you can look up on YouTube. I highly recommend. I'm gonna have to like permalink that in our
in all the descriptions of the video.
Yeah.
That YouTube video is our website for the podcast.
Then we cut to Zandalee, who is like gagging outside a church. She was standing staring at the church and going like, and then she goes home to find Nicolas Cage instead.
I think they were like doing where like she's running and like she's half like can't breathe from like exercising so hard, and also like sadness or crying. I don't know. It was weird.
She when she ran past the church, it brought up the old trauma of getting assaulted in a confessional.
That could be it.
Yeah, that could have been it. Yeah, and then she comes home and finds her assaulter in her house, saying the door was unlocked, and talking about how he wanted to save Terry, but Terry didn't want to be saved. And they fight and start to have sex again, but Zandalee says Terry's name, and that puts an end to it. And then Zandalee gets dressed and runs out into the street. And Cage is following her close behind. And some guy rolls up on a car yelling, "Hey, Johnny! Hey, Johnny!" Oh, who I should mention 2 times before this. It was a setup. It was a callback and a payoff.
I missed the setup completely.
I didn't realize it until like after the movie, and I had to think about it.
Yeah, I didn't mention it in my notes because I didn't think it was that significant. And then at the end, it came all together. But he kept saying, "You got to make your accounts payable, man. You owe me a bunch of money." So like he rolls up and is about to shoot Nicolas Cage. And then Zandalee like walks in the way, and Cage is like, "No, no, no!" And then he shoots Zandalee, and then says, "You gotta make accounts payable, man," and drives away.
And then the movie ends.
just no remorse. He's like, "Hey, if you would have listened to me, your
accounts payable."
Yeah, it's not my fault. And so this guy is like his drug supplier or something.
Yeah, and earlier in the movie, in the bar, the bartender is like, "Hey, pay your drug bill." Like, dude.
Yeah.
I completely missed that. And it seems like they had the ending where Zandalee gets shot and killed. And then they just kind of went back and like, we got to add a quick line about...
It seemed totally out of nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't catch any of that. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he shooting?
Accounts payable.
You got to make accounts payable, man.
Hey, you know what? And that explained it all.
And our last shots are Cage picking up Zandalee and carrying her somewhere. Who knows where?
Yeah.
So
probably to the confessional booth. Or...
Next art project.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's
gonna paint her again. This time with red paint.
A visual motif I identified in this movie was boobies.
Yeah. And I think if the boobs are pointing up, it's good luck. And if the boobs are pointing down, it's bad luck.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if half of this movie's runtime was boob shots.
It's somewhere around there. It's at least a quarter of it.
Like,
just imagine how many boob shots were cut out of this. Because they were like, holy shit.
Like, it got to the point, like, the first 20 minutes where I was like, this is excessive amount of boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost immediately in this movie, honestly. I don't think I mentioned it, but there's a scene of Zandalee in, like, not a strip club, but it's, like, a bunch of naked people dancing and, like, simulating sex. And
and she just starts making out with the dude?
Yeah, with some random guy. It's all fucking weird.
This movie was fucking weird.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about this is it seemed like it was trying to be artsy and trying to make like some sort of big statement, but it didn't really have any substance to back up any of its artistic choices.
But what was their statement?
I don't know.
Cheat on your husband and you'll be fine.
Yeah, or you'll get shot eventually. I thought there was a scene...
Cheat on your husband and your husband will die.
There was a scene
you will.
when Zandalee was talking to Terry about she was just like, he was like, "I almost quit my job today." And she was like, "Do it, you'll be free." And he's like you? And then that's the scene when they're fighting about the thing. And I thought maybe it's like freedom and happiness aren't necessarily intertwined or something. I have no idea what the statement is trying to be. Yeah, they're being really heavy-handed with a statement that you can't tell what it is. And it doesn't really fit or exist.
Maybe the statement was... If a girl says she doesn't do drugs, you just shove some drugs inside of her.
Yeah, because she doesn't know what's best for her.
I just can't get. I'm sorry. It really did look like he poured olive oil into the cocaine. It was like an Italian herb.
Like they made it clear that he was like mixing them.
He was mixing it on the table with his hand, and then he like just shoved it up inside of her.
I mean, this might be showing you guys that I'm not big into drugs, but do you mix olive oil with cocaine? Like, is that a thing that I just don't know about?
I use canola oil, sesame oil if you can afford it.
Oh, okay.
But I thought I was expecting this movie to kind of veer off into some, message about sexual liberation or something. Because the movie is classified as an erotic thriller. And the only thing thrilling about it is Nicolas Cage's hair. Like I was expecting some kind of like Eyes Wide Shut sex cult thing to happen, and maybe that's why I was disappointed when pretty much nothing happened. I mean, it's not that nothing happens, but I don't.
It was a lot of them fucking.
Yeah, and there are a lot of really creepy scenes where the things Cage are doing are just kind of really rapey and assaulty.
She
and
comes off very rapey.
Yeah.
Not good.
I will say that the actors did a pretty good job. I think.
I thought Nicolas Cage was. I mean, despite the fact that his character was obviously very flawed, he did a good job of acting.
Yeah, he did a good job of portraying the character.
Yeah,
it's just
not a far cry from Nicolas Cage.
My only thing throughout this movie, I just hated the character of Zandalee.
Oh yeah,
and I had no sympathy for her throughout that film. I was just like, stop cheating on your husband.
Yeah, she kept going back and forth from willingly cheating on her husband, but then being like super angry at Nicolas Cage for it.
Yeah,
like he tricked her into being unfaithful or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he wasn't so seductive that and I mean, yeah, he did force himself on her in a few situations, but
it started more or less consensually, and then he started raping her, which, I mean, yeah, it's fucking weird, but I have really no sympathy for almost anyone in the script except Terry, I guess.
Yeah, I feel bad for Terry.
Yeah, and I guess the grandma's pretty cool, and her like French boyfriend like pretty rad. We don't see them for much.
No.
But yeah, I didn't much care for this movie. I would have maybe recommended it to you in like the mid 90s if you were too nervous to go into the porn section to rent porn. Then maybe rent Zandalee, but in today's day and age, I don't really see much.
If you don't have the ability to Google the word boobs, then watch the first 20 minutes of this and get your rocks off.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts about this movie. I didn't much care for this at all.
Really no redeemable qualities about most of the characters in this movie.
Some nice titties, though.
Yeah, they were good luck titties because they were pointing up, I guess. So as we do every episode, we are going to rate this movie on a scale of how much jet fuel it would take to get these movies back to LaGuardia. And so Left Behind, I would rate 300 gallons of jet fuel, and then Zandalee, I don't know. I don't know the conversion between jet fuel and speedboat fuel, so it might be tough.
Also, do you want more fuel or less fuel for this rating system?
It depends on where the tank is punctured.
Yeah, and it depends on how close you are already to LaGuardia.
Yeah.
How does that? Okay.
It's a complicated system, Zach.
I'd give Zandalee 14 quarts, I guess.
Hey,
I'd give it a good 30 gallons.
Okay. Wait, Zandalee?
Yeah.
All right.
Left
so
Behind.
Take that as you will, listeners.
Yeah, and so what I found interesting about the these two movies back to back is that one of them was overtly religious, but Zandalee is the movie that made me feel like I needed to go to church.
Yeah, that's very true. And hopefully not get raped in a confession booth there.
Yeah. But it's a confession booth. It's no stranger to that type of happening. So, you burnt, Catholic Church.
So shall we bring this to a vote?
I guess. This is
a vote where I don't know the outcome beforehand.
Yeah, this is the first matchup where I'm not sure what movie title is going to come out of my mouth. But we'll see, I guess. These were two atrociously bad movies.
Yeah. All right. So, can we get a countdown, Engineer Dave?
No.
That's what I was waiting for.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, we are holding open auditions for a sound engineer. You know anybody? Send a link to...
I will pitch shift you so fast, motherfucker.
Oh, God. I forgot he's in control of my entire being right now. We'll tweet about it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Zandalee.
Oh, damn.
Wait, did you say Zandalee, Nick?
I did, yes. Well,
wow.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said Zandalee also.
Okay.
Wow. I can't believe you guys are going to make me watch Zandalee again.
I
can't. Look, honestly, I couldn't. I was sitting here like, I really don't want to watch either of these movies again, ever. The thing is, Left Behind.
It's because the boobs, isn't it?
I guess, yeah, that gives it a little bit of an edge. Also, Zandalee is mercifully 5 minutes shorter than Left Behind.
That is true.
So it wastes a little less of my time.
So I mean, I guess one thing I should say is that I do feel that it is never necessary to portray rape in any way in a movie, which should automatically disqualify this movie.
But you voted for Zandalee.
But after sitting through Left Behind, just I'll watch anything after Left Behind.
Left Behind wasn't that bad. Like, it was just a very, very subpar movie.
The thing that gives it to me is we're doing this podcast about Nicolas Cage, and I felt like Zandalee was a better representation of Cage's acting ability than Left Behind was, where he just kind of sat around not doing a whole lot. And we got a nice Cage freakout scene where he coated himself in paint and slapped the floor. So that pushed it a little ahead for me. But honestly, if I wasn't doing this podcast, I would not watch either of these movies. And
if I could pick neither,
and if I didn't have to pick one over the other, I wouldn't. They're both just sitting at the bottom of the barrel, man.
And Zach, I just have to disagree with you on just one thing, and it's that, and keep in mind, I'm not being hyperbolic in any way. Left Behind is the worst thing ever created. I literally, the thought popped into my head when I was watching Left Behind, and I'm glad I just thought of this because I was like, I'm gonna have to say this on the podcast. Left Behind is proof that not all movies are art.
Arsenal was a worse movie than Left Behind.
Honestly, it's a toss-up. I've been keeping these ranked, and Arsenal and Left Behind are my bottom two, and Left Behind is dead last.
Arsenal and Left Behind are at the bottom for me. I think I did put Arsenal lower than Left Behind, even though I think it's a little bit shorter, so maybe, I don't know.
See, when it comes right down to it, I would rather see slow-mo of somebody getting shot in the crotch with pellets than I would some super weird Jesus-y Lifetime movie.
Yeah, Zandalee is also
Zandalee is by far my lowest ranked movie.
Really?
I hated this movie.
The three that we're talking about here are definitely my three lowest ranked movies.
The other problem with Left Behind is that there's simply no sexual assault. And so...
Well, there's a ton of sexual assault left behind. All the rapists stayed back. All the good people went to heaven, and society broke.
That's true.
They just didn't explicitly show you the rapes.
I mean, that is... Well, actually, all the people who believed in God, most of whom, no offense to any listeners who are religious, but most people who believe in God are rapists. So it's
Wait, okay, walk me through this.
Yeah, I think I might need a little bit of explanation.
Okay, so the Catholic Church, watch that documentary about the priest with basically anybody who believes in God, a prerequisite is...
Do you think Bryan Singer's a Catholic?
Hey, you know what?
Welcome to the Bryan Singer podcast.
we mentioned him almost as much as Nicolas Cage at this point.
I know Scientology is guilty of a lot of very disgusting crimes, but with Bryan Singer being such a major proponent for, I don't know, I'm assuming Christianity. I'll just say that. I don't know if that's like slander or whatever, but his belief in God has drawn him to the children.
Well, either way, I want Zandalee out of my head. What are the next two movies?
Okay.
Well, guess what? Zandalee is never going to be out of your head because...
we're going to mention it 45 more times. So after Zandalee, the movies...
have The Runner, the 57 seed, pitted up against Trapped in Paradise, the 72 seed. And for anyone keeping track at home, Zandalee will be going up against Kick-Ass in the next round, which means Zandalee's going to win against Kick-Ass and go
no.
through to the third round.
I will blow my brains out.
Zandalee was the 81 seed for the record.
81 of 82 for those keeping track at home.
It was so bad.
Now, one thing I was trying
and we have to watch it again.
Yeah.
One thing I was trying to remember was if Zandalee was actually the second lowest rated movie, or if it got switched around when we were kind of trying to
fudge around with things.
Yeah, fix some of the matchups to be a little bit more, to make more sense, I guess. But I'm willing to bet that Zandalee is down there anyway.
Yeah.
So,
don't watch Zandalee.
Don't watch Left Behind, and don't watch Zandalee. And if you have to pick one shitty movie to watch, I guess Arsenal is
no Deadfall.
Available for
Deadfall is the one to watch. Honestly, Deadfall is my favorite movie we've watched so far in this podcast.
Too.
I mean,
Deadfall
initially after watching it, I was kind of a little bit meh, but it's only grown with me.
Deadfall is a numero uno.
I feel like I quote that movie almost daily now. I say hi fucking yeah all the time.
Yeah, every time I like ram somebody out of the way when I'm in traffic, I'm just screaming it out the window.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Well,
pick a cat,
which we also got in this movie in Zandalee, so you gotta appreciate the callback, but or the call forward because Deadfall hadn't happened yet. But that's gonna be a wrap for us today. Join us next time when we watch The Runner and Trapped in Paradise. I don't know whether to tell you to watch those movies or not. If I had known last time, I would tell you not to have watched these beforehand. But
yeah, I don't know anything about either of these movies. So it's going to be...
I'm assuming Nicolas Cage runs in one of them.
Yeah, and he gets trapped in the other one. But you know what? Doesn't matter because he's trapped in paradise. Pretty nice
good.
Right there.
So yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, and you have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.
Please don't assault anybody, ever.
Yeah, don't do
fucking yeah.
I fucking yeah.
Oh yeah! Cage fight! Nicolas Cage!
This has been a Solid Work production.
Solid work. Solid work. Solid work. Hey, solid work.